Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Founders Club. I have with me today a very special guest, Katherine Miller. Katherine, welcome.
Thank you, Des. It's really a pleasure to be here.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm really interested in learning more about your practice and how you reshape the field of law. So, as the founder of Miller Law Group, you've built it around the concept of changing how people experience divorce, right? So, what was that aha moment that you had that made you realize you needed to do it differently? What did that look like to you?
Yeah, so let me just walk you down memory lane a little bit. I was really interested in people, and I knew that I was going to work in family law when I was in law school. And so after law school, I got a job helping in a family law firm. And after 2 years of that, I was like, wow, there's got to be a better way to do this because this is really not so great for our clients and the negotiations that we're having. So I took a mediation training and I started to try to integrate those ideas of settling the divorces based on what was important to the people, not legal concepts. And they overlap, but it's not completely flush. And in every single case, I ran into the same problem, and that problem was the other lawyer. And it was not that they were bad lawyers or bad people. We just couldn't get on the same page about how to what criteria we were going to use to help our clients settle. And in New York, 97% of divorcing people settle before a judge makes a decision after a trial. And nationwide, that's 95%. I mean, it's very likely that people who are getting divorced are going to reach an agreement themselves. And so then, after about 10 years of that, I got divorced myself. And I had two little children. And after that experience, Des, I was like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I quit. And I did. I quit my job and I thought I would have to do something else with the rest of my life. And then I took another mediation training and I took a collaborative divorce training. And then I thought, you know what? There might actually be a better way to do this to help people find a way to appeal to their dignity through the divorce process and look for a solution that works for everybody. And
Yeah.
that was my aha moment that not only did something have to happen, but that I could do something about it.
Wow, wonderful. Well, you've not only used your own personal experience, definitely, but you've also went through many trainings you've mentioned. So it's been, both pieces working together and through your experience, a culmination of that is where you are now, it seems. And doing things differently in the legal world, I'm sure wasn't easy. I'm sure you've gotten maybe some surprising setbacks from that, maybe some delights as well. What have you encountered along the way that you can share with us?
Yeah. Well, for the most part, I think that people want to find a humane way to go through what is obviously a challenging part of their lives, right?
Yeah.
And so that has been a kind of delight that many of my clients have really appreciated the humanity, the dignity, and the support of going through this difficult process with them in a way that really focuses on the things that are their priorities. There's been, I think, some resistance, shall we say,
Yeah.
from other lawyers, right? So lawyers do things the way they do them because that's the way they've always been done, and that's what it is, right? That's how it is. I think that focusing on what's important to the people is hard because there is no course in law school, at least when I went to law school numerous years ago, so maybe there is now, but on how to manage the emotional side of any kind of negotiation or how to manage clients who are very upset or very anxious. And obviously, clients who are getting divorced or going through any kind of crisis in their life, legal or otherwise, have a lot of emotional reaction to it. And so, if you don't open the door, Des, to that idea that I'm going to invite my client to share her full self with me, then you don't have to do it. And we didn't become psychologists. We went to law school to be lawyers and talk about the law. And I think it's really hard sometimes for lawyers to let go of that. But that is not to say that is true for all lawyers. There are so many lawyers who work in this area who are really interested in the human side of working with clients. And so I don't want to say I'm the only one here. I'm definitely not.
Well, thank you for shedding light on that because I didn't even realize that within your numerous schools of training through, law school and all of that, that there's really no training on emotional intelligence or emotional management. So that's really good to know and gives me more context around why, especially what you're doing is so important. And I mean, along with the emotional, you work with complex financial situations, high net worth individuals and business interests as well as more traditional family matters. When you're dealing with financially complex situations, um, or patterns, what do you see as the patterns and pitfalls in these cases, especially with now you have the financial burden that you need to think about it, as well as the emotional.
Right. Well, when it's really complicated, Des, it's usually the feelings and not the finances that make it complicated, right? So
Yeah.
for the most part, the finances are pretty straightforward.
Okay.
And when it is money is in our society so much more than a way to pay the bills, right? It's how we measure success, how we measure power, how we compare ourselves to our families of origin, our neighbors, our friends, and each other. And so money creates a really challenging topic when it comes to any negotiation, and particularly divorce. Because of that, we're measuring money as a way to measure our relationship with each other sometimes. When you throw in there complex compensation, business interests, things that are more difficult to sort out that actually do have a level of complexity, you invite the possibility for more conflict because of that projection of what money means, right, to people into that. So it's really important to understand the underlying asset, the underlying financial product that we're dealing with so that it doesn't get more complication, emotional complication uh, projected onto it, so that really we're able to tease apart, sort of create some space between each asset, each expense, and understand it for the purposes of what it is and and then separately what it means, if that makes sense.
Okay, that does. Yeah. So just kind of make things more granular in that sense so that it's
Yeah.
easier to digest in an emotional way, perhaps.
That's exactly like
Okay.
simplify it so you unconnect things so people can
Mhm.
understand each aspect, each restricted stock units, each stock option, each business interest is separately from the other. So
Mhm.
because sort of pushing it all together makes it just that much more emotionally difficult to deal with.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Well, that's wonderful. You lead a busy practice. I mean, you train other professionals, and now you're teaching others about emotional intelligence, especially pertaining to divorce cases. How do you stay connected to the heart in of your mission in all of this?
Well, it's really about the people.
Mhm.
I really love our clients, even when we have a client in the office who's angry at us or challenging in some way. My team always laughs at me because I say, well, I love Joe or I love Sally. And they're like, you love everybody.
Yeah.
And I really feel that seeing each person's humanity as they go through a challenge and their struggle does to find what works for them and to feel good about what they're doing and how they're doing it. Like that is, it's such a privilege to be able to walk that walk with people and even when it's sometimes difficult. But I
I
also have 5 kids of my own and I really value my family life.
Wonderful. Well, that's wonderful. I think, Catherine, that speaks volumes to your emotional bandwidth and intelligence, and not only just, walking the walk, but talking the talk and everything. You truly do embody everything that you are trying to teach others to do as well, and help your clients to do as well. And you've been a strong advocate for helping people divorce with dignity. What do you see as the next steps in bringing that message to more people?
Yeah. We are living in a very polarized society these days. And I think that people really don't like that, right? Like, I think that especially when you're thinking about divorce, this has been someone you've spent years, decades maybe with, raised children with, shared a home with for a long time. And to feel like that person is the enemy feels bad. It feels somehow like you're diminishing yourself or diminishing your children. And I think that if people understand that they don't have to feel that way, that they can feel like that the marriage wasn't a failure, that this isn't a breaking of their family, that
Yeah,
they are progressing through this, and that this is part of a natural evolution of this particular relationship, and it's evolving into something else. I think that if people understand that and feel less shame about it, then and that we're talking about it, and that's why talking to people like you is such an important thing, so that people can understand that there are choices out there that allow them to have that dignity through the process. I think that's a very attractive proposal, don't you?
absolutely. Yes, and I think that, as you've mentioned before, it just wasn't a part of the process before. It wasn't something that was taught to the lawyers and folks leading the law, but not to their clients as well. So breaking that status quo in this way, I think is going to let people be more at ease in at the process. Sometimes marriages don't work out. That's okay. I myself, as young as I do seem, am divorced as well. And so, I mean, it could happen to anybody, and everybody wants to feel that dignity behind it and retain that level of maybe love in a certain aspect. So,
Yeah. And
yeah,
at least that sense that you yourself, it wasn't a mistake. You know,
right.
my first marriage wasn't a mistake. I
Mhm.
mean, I didn't marry a man that I was destined to stay married to, and I'm glad that we're divorced, but we have two fabulous children, and knowing totally eyes wide open exactly what would happen, I do it again to have them. And so I
Yeah,
don't think of it as a mistake at all.
that is beautiful. Yes, wonderful. Well, I did a little bit of research, and did I see correctly that you are planning for a book next year? Is that
Yes, in fact, that is
okay?
absolutely
All
true.
right, all right.
I wrote a book called The
Uh-huh.
Emotionally Savvy Divorce, and
Okay.
it is due for publication on January 6th of all days,
Oh,
2026.
wonderful.
And since you asked, it's available for pre-order at Amazon and Barnes and Nobles and wherever people buy books.
Wow, that's great. Okay, what's a key insight that you hope readers would like to take away from this book?
Yeah.
And yeah, just what's the one main golden nugget you want people to know?
All right, there are two things. There are two
Okay.
golden nuggets. One is it's how to work with your emotions going through divorce. So there are so many people out there who say that you should set your emotions aside and treat the divorce like a business deal, which is wrong from two perspectives. One, that we make decisions, any decision, what pair of socks to wear, in the emotional part of our brain. So making a rational decision without emotions, it's not possible. It's like physiologically isn't possible. And two, business deals are emotional, aren't they? Like, aren't people emotional about decisions that they make in their businesses or the jobs that they take or the promotions they got or didn't get? Absolutely. So, what if instead of trying to separate yourself from your emotions, you leaned into them and figured out what they were telling you about what your true priorities are, what your values are, what it is you're trying to obtain, and through that process, even though it's a little uncomfortable at times, really figure out what direction makes sense to you. So that is the sort of the primary reason that I wrote The Emotionally Savvy Divorce. But I also adapted a lot of business negotiation strategies into divorce, because divorce is unlike any other negotiation we ever go through, because you can't walk away from it. You don't get this job, you can't go for another job. You don't buy this house or this car. Well, there's another house or another car, right?
Yeah.
Like you didn't buy your widgets from this widget dealer. Well, buy them from that widget dealer. In this situation in divorce, you must divorce the person you are married to. You can't not do that unless you stay married to them. And so there needs to be a little bit of adaptation. So, how to use your emotions to figure out your direction and your priorities, and then how to get the best deal for yourself and your family through the negotiation strategies.
Awesome. Very insightful. So this is for not only those practicing law, but those who are either are currently or are planning on having a divorce and would like to know how to navigate it the best way possible. And you said
Exactly.
this is available for pre-order now, but will be printed and available in January of next year, 2026. Do you have a website? Where can people find out more about you?
People can go to either my law firm website, which is miller-law.com, or to katherinemiller.com and learn more about me directly.
That's great, Catherine. Thank you so much for your time today. We learned a lot. I definitely learned more about the process of everything that goes in between, the divorce process and all the context around it. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.